right, so our first section of chapter 3 is our demand, supply, and equilibrium section, which, again, meat and potatoes of economics. We're going to be using this throughout the whole rest of the 7 weeks. So, again, the book usually defines things first. I like to graph them first. I feel like that makes more sense. Economics is, after all, ultimately a diagrammatic representation of reality, as started by Stanley Jevons. It's the first person to make a diagrammatic representation of reality. So again, we're going to be in the first Cartesian coordinate plane. We're just going to be in the positive, right? And now I'm going to slow down a second because we're going to do something that is backwards, which is frustrating, but it's just the convention. It's the way that economics has always been done. It's the way that it probably will always be done. So normally when we have a math situation like this, right? What do we normally see? We normally see an x over here, and we see a y, or we see an f of x over here, right? Which tells me it's the function of x. So for instance, if we had something that was y equals 2x plus 2, we'd find the y-intercept at 2. We would have a slope of 2, rise of 2, run of 1, and we would have a steep line like this, right? Everybody following me? Okay. This is going to be down here. I know, weird, very weird, but all that's happening is these things are flipping, okay? So let's kind of control X. So instead of having X on the, I forget what it's called, but we're going to call it the X-axis, but it has a name. And then this is the ordinate axis. I forget the X name. So instead of X here, right, we're actually going to have X up here, and we're going to have the F of X down here, okay? Now, we're never going to be writing it like this, but that's like really what's happening. So I just want to keep that in mind, okay? So let's go ahead and copy this, paste it. Nope. Okay. So now we know that the independent variable, right, what is normally the x, is going to be on the y-axis. And this independent variable for economics and all the rest of economics that you're going to take is going to be price. So we put the price on the y variable, but traditionally the y-axis. And then we put the quantity on the x-axis. So some of you may be going, well, why is this backwards? Well, let's think about how we interact in markets. Is it that we are looking and saying, oh, well, 70,000 boxes of corn pops were purchased, so therefore I'm going to purchase them? No. We're like, corn pops are $3, so I'm going to buy them. Right? I like corn pops, and they're within my budget set. We make our decisions. The quantity decision is itself a function of that price. So again, it's backwards. I know. It's upsetting to me too. It is easy to remember with some helpful mnemonics, though. So you'll notice that this P comes before this Q, right, in a left to right fashion. Just like when we sing the alphabet song to ourselves, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, right? The P comes before the Q. P comes to the left of the Q. Price always comes to the left of quantity when we're making the graphs, okay? So that's our clever little mnemonic that'll help us so that we're not mislabeling the graphs. Questions on that? All right, excellent. I'm not going to be I'm not going to really be talking about quantity as a function of price, but just for those of you that care, it bothered me at first. So I just want to kind of get that out there up front. We know it's backwards. It's just the way it is. We have price on the y-axis, quantity on the x-axis. All right, now we're ready to actually draw, before we define, our demand curve. And so our demand curve is going to start in the top left, and it's going to go downward sloping. Demand curves also have a nice mnemonic in that demand and downward start with the same letter, right? D. D for downward, D for demand. So demand slopes downwards. Now let's talk about this, right? And sometimes a lot of times it's easier to take a look at an example. So let's say we have pizza. And let's say the slice, I bought a slice of pizza the other day. I kid you not, it was $14 for 2 slices of pizza, everybody. $15. So $7.50 for a slice of pizza, right? At $7.50, I bet a lot of you were like, I ain't buying a slice of pizza for $7.50. Well, it was late at night and there was nothing else to eat, right? But there's still a significant, especially if you're set up in like a college bar, downtown district, right? You can get a lot of people to buy a pizza for $7.50. And so, you might get 3,000 slices of pizza sold at that high price. But what happens when we lower the price to a more reasonable, regular rate of pizza slicage, right? If we lower the price to, say, $3, or actually it's more like $4, right? At $4, if we go and we reflect that new price off of my demand curve, then it's going to tell me that at $4, instead of selling, 3,000, I'm going to sell something like 6,000. Again, I'm just spitballing, just using, imprecise numbers here, just for example. So when the price goes down, we collectively consume more, right? And the price goes up, we switch to other things. So this whole notion of, price go down, people buy more, price go up, people buy less, that's called the law of demand. Any questions? Mr. Superinflation, you got a question? Good? Okay, cool. All right. So our law of demand is just as the price goes down, the quantity goes up. They're just inversely related. Price goes up, quantity goes down. And when we're talking about demand, we're not just talking about the stuff that people are wanting to buy, right? It's very easy to want to buy something, but this is all the goods and service that consumers are willing and able to buy. An important distinction. Also, another important distinction, this curve itself is called the demand curve. These points on the demand curve and these particular amounts, these are called quantities demanded. Actually, I don't want that there. I want it down here. So these are quantities. Let's just do it quantity demanded. It's already confusing without making it plural. A quantity demanded is just the total number of units of a good or service that consumers are willing to purchase at a particular price. At, and this is the important part, a particular price. So a quantity demanded is a point, is a point estimate, right? It's like at $4, there's 6,000 quantity demanded. At $7.50, there's 3,000 quantity demanded. When we talk about the demand curve writ large, the demand curve is a schedule of all of the quantity demands, all of the quantities demanded at different prices. So we also think of these things as schedules. So you'll sometimes see that referred to, because it could be in a table format, right? So instead of here, if we wanted a demand schedule, just real quick, we would have something that is price, quantity, $7.50, $3,000, $4, $6,000, $2, $9,000, $1, $20,000, something like that. They are not straight in real life, like most things, right? So in economics, we assume it's straight because it's easy to draw, and it makes it easy to do what we are going to call shifts, which we're going to practice some at the end of class. But in real life, these things are not straight, they're curved, and they're not even really continuous, right? So sometimes they'll have a jump in between them. They definitely don't go all the way to zero, right? And they definitely don't go all the way to the y-axis. So these demand curves kind of, they're islands on their own in the first quadrant of the Cartesian plane, letting us know how many of things consumers would be both willing and able to buy at different prices. Questions on demand?